Okay, so this video is kind of late, but I had originally scripted all of this out, and I'm just gonna sit down and talk about what's going on with War of the Worlds. A lot of you have been asking me about updates, and we really had nothing for 2 months. War of the Worlds finally did break their silence, and there's a lot to talk about, I think, and I think it's brought up some interesting and important things that we're gonna talk about in this video. Last we heard, November 12th, they announced that the public early access will be coming out early this year, so a lot of people were expecting this game to come out for early access Q1 this year. It's, you know, February 11th and there's no game and there's been no marketing for the game. And if you're like me and you've been paying attention, I was not surprised if this game was going to be delayed, and essentially the game's been delayed. There's a lot of reasons for it, and I want to unpack it in this video. In the meantime, also talk about some important issues. A lot of people are concerned about things like copyright, things like Paramount finding out about this game, possibly shutting this game down. It just seems like there's a lot up in the air right now, so hopefully through this video, we can just have a clear idea of where this game's at and what to expect going forward in the future. At least that's what I hope to do for you guys. War of the Worlds finally broke their silence by doing a Q&A with me. And in doing so, they unveiled that they have these new tripods, these super accurate one-to-one tripods. They look amazing. They are absolutely gorgeous if you're a fan of this project and you absolutely love the 05 tripod designs. I think this is going to be everything you could ever dream of. I had the biggest live Q&A with War of the Worlds yet about a week ago, and if you want to see that, that's up on my lives. And we got to look at really in depth about what it took to rebuild these and remake them. We got to see their animations, we got to see their bones and rigging, and talking with Kris, who does the inverse kinematics. So I got to meet him, talk with him, as well as Gargoyle and Kenickie also coming on for the first time. They're doing sound design, and they were able to show us some really neat behind the scenes. And also Elde came on. He was this new modeler that Raf has. Raf said that when he saw 3D work that Elde had put into the Discord, he brought him onto the team. But when this happened, like others, I was really impressed, obviously, by the work. I think they look amazing, but I was also concerned, and I'm not the only one in the community feeling that way. So I kind of just want to talk about those concerns and like what are the possibilities. In case you're not aware, these designs of the tripods from the film and the aliens are both copyright by, well, Paramount or whoever owns the copyrights to these designs. The game War of the Worlds is not the concept. So we've seen other games like Interlakes, like, dare I say, Gray Skies. Oh my God, this game! I want to stop. I want to stop right now. I don't even want to get to the. I don't even want to see the aliens. I'm already done with this game. We've seen War of the World themes games, so the concept is based off of the H.G. Wells novel, which is in fair use. It's in public domain right now, so anyone can make a War of the Worlds themed game. The biggest point of contention right now is that these designs are one-to-one comparison. And a lot of people are saying, well, you know, isn't this flying closer to the sun? Doesn't this give Paramount even more leverage to order a cease and desist or potentially even sue Raf for what he's doing for the game he's making? I asked Raf this directly in the live stream about the copyright issue because enough people are talking about it. And I also just think it's something that needs to be talking about. So what could happen is Paramount could come to Raf and offer him a cease and desist, which basically just says, you can't use these designs anymore. You have to take them out. He thinks that if something were to happen, it would have happened by now. And these are things he said from the Q&A.
Paramount's not going to sue me. They have nothing to gain from me. Like, I have nothing to give them. Like, what I could give them in money is, like, probably what they pay their legal team in, like, an hour. So
just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it won't. I think that's a little bit of wishful thinking. And of course, he's making this game, so of course he's going to want it to succeed. And of course he's going to think that way. But looking at it from an outside perspective, there's still a very high possibility that they aren't going after the game because he hasn't actually released it yet. They could just be watching the project and they could be thinking it might not go anywhere. But who knows? There could be any reason why they haven't come after him for what he's doing yet. They could know about it and they could not care. He's not making a ton of money right now, but he is making some money. He is doing the $100 closed testing Patreon tier, I've seen community members say he's already made over 10,000. I've heard that the last total number of closed testers he's had is 200 people, and it could be more. I don't know. If it is 200, if that is true, then he's made already $20,000. If it's less, then it's less. But it's not that he's not making money or not being supported making this game. But to say, you know, nothing has happened so far, so it likely won't, that's just wishful thinking. I mean, we can hope that's the case. The way Raph sees this, and the way I learned from talking with him in the live Q&A, was that while, you know, a lot of us saw him make these one-to-one tripods and just feel concerned, because it's like, okay, well, now you're just throwing caution to the wind. You're saying, screw it, I'm going all in, not even going to try to be different. I'm just going to copy it as much as I can. He loves this movie so much, and people have asked him if he would do the book, and he's sold out for making the movie. So for him to make anything less than what he's made, it wouldn't satisfy him and how he wants to make this game.
For me, the book isn't what got me into War of the Worlds. It was the movie. That's what I'm passionate about. The movie is the reason I'm making this game. Like, I'm so adamant about it.
He has reached out to Paramount, and apparently he hasn't gotten a response as far as getting a license. So his ultimate goal, honestly, with this is to get a license from Paramount themselves. That would take care of everything. That would take care of costs. That would take care of issues of not being able to use the models. It would probably take care of costs. There would probably be funding or something. But that would be like the ultimate green light. That would be the best case scenario. And that's kind of what he's aiming for. And that's what I learned through talking with him. You know, he's not stupid. He's not reckless. Like, he knows that there is a possibility that these models could be taken down and they wouldn't exist in the game.
I've taken into consideration all the possibilities, so I'm not just ignoring this issue. I'm not, you know, ignorant. I'm proceeding forward with caution, trying to do things right. Obviously, I know that these things can be copyrighted and they could have a concern with it, and if they do, I'm going to respect it. I'm not going to challenge them.
He said he wants to release the models as mods so that even if that happened, he would still release his game no matter what. He's planning to release the game, and he would release these as mods so that you could put them in the game, so that they're not actually being sold with the game itself. And he does have plans for backup models. In case you don't know this, he's actually becoming a firefighter, and he was supposed to graduate this year, class of 2023, and he actually deferred to class of 2025. So he's pushed that off for 2 years to make sure this game gets done, and gets done at a standard that he believes is adequate. And also what the closed testers believe, because this is kind of getting to where I have a problem. Behind the scenes, behind closed doors, there was a deliberation of whether or not to move this entire project into Unreal Engine. They're not doing that. They've decided to upgrade to the Unity high definition render pipeline, which basically rivals Unreal's capabilities as far as visuals. I put it out there as a poll, and a lot of you sided with Unity, but when you guys saw the picture comparisons between the two, you guys sided with Unreal. So I think that's reflective of you guys really liking what Unreal looks like, and I seriously don't think anything can beat the 3D space in Unreal. But as far as this project goes, a lot of you were also content with how the game looked and are content with it being in Unity HDRP, which I also agree. I'd rather it just stay in HDRP, come out sooner than way, way later, because that's something we need to talk about. We just shifted gears pretty hard. This is a massive change in the fact that I don't think this game is coming out anytime soon anymore. I don't think it's a massive change in that the game itself is ultimately changing. We had tripod models people were happy with, and now we have tripod models again that people are happy with. It's like, why did you take 2 months to do this? And I think the answer to that question is deeper than they just look better. I think it's because they had to.
Yeah, the main reason we did this tripod was for performance reasons.
See, I've been so excited about this game, and we've all been so excited for this game to just like finally come out and get to play it, see what it feels like, and explore. But there are things in my excitement that I just overlooked just because this is such a cool concept, such a cool game. It's actually something that Slendy and DeadRam pointed out to me, who are previous developers that I had on for Q&A. And it ties into, I think, why he had to redo these models, and he even talked about this during the live stream. I think the game isn't performing well at all. I don't think it's optimized very well. We can see that in a clip from their environmental update. So this is the video that was put out just before the last video they put out 2 months ago. And it was showing off basically the new vegetation. There was something I overlooked just because I was so excited that there was a bike added to the game, which is something I was really hoping for, that kind of transportation. If we look at this, we can see foliage and trees all popping in here really close on the right side, which is like, this is way too close for building a giant immersive open world. I mean, look at all this. Okay, so that's bad. Secondly, we can see up in the top left his frames. He's getting 58 frames on average. That might not seem that bad at first, but the problem is he has a beast of a machine. He has an Intel i9 12900K, a GTX 3090 Ti, 64 gigs of RAM, and all using it on a 1440p 165 hertz monitor. So this, in conjunction with the fact that the tripods, as he talked about in his live with me, tripods they had before, as you can see, the ones on the right are the ones they're using now, but the one on the left that's like near black, all the way on the left, that is the tripod they had before. And essentially what that meant is there was just so many polygons on that tripod, and it had tons of bones in the rig. And when they first made that tripod, they were only concerned about the animations and the visuals of it looking good, but not performing good. Raph actually said himself that they hadn't taken performance into consideration. And I'm going to be honest, that just kind of blows my mind. There have been people on the team that were in charge of inverse kinematics, handling the animations and movement and rigging. And in their recent announcement on Discord about them, also finally breaking the silence and coming out and talking about all this, they say closed testers began to point out many inaccuracies and things they felt needed to be changed or improved on the tripods, model and animations, as well as performance issues related to the tripods. The fact that this is coming from the closed testers, that's like a red flag to me. It's like, what? How did no one think about the performance? Like, you might be getting 60 FPS on your rig, but I'm running a GTX 1660 Super, and I know people have less cards than that. I don't know how that got overlooked, essentially. I think when we dig deeper, it's not just that Raph wanted prettier tripods or Raph wanted one-to-one comparison tripods. I think he definitely wants that, obviously, by the choices made. But my problem is that this game was announced to be released before these issues were fixed. It was November 12th when the announcement came out. So it was December 4th when he brought Elde onto the team. I've seen the comments in the community about people being upset, and it makes sense because we were all hyped up to be ready for this. And I've also seen the people making fun of people who are upset and sad, and that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I've even seen people go as far as to say the larger community just needs to get used to modern game development, and honestly that is just absolute no. That's the wrong take to have. The indie world should never be reflecting the worst qualities of the AAA space, and I hope to keep my channel as unbiased as I can to keep the indie world accountable and keep us from just following that path, because that's absolutely no thank you. But if it's any consultation, this is bad news that's getting delayed, but as always, it's good news because this means that they get to work on the game and perfect it more. It just shouldn't have happened. What we would have gotten would have been a buggy mess. It would have probably been very unoptimized. That's one of my issues, but again, one of my bigger issues is that we haven't seen any backups yet. I asked him during the live if there were any backups, and there was nothing we could see.
Right now, we don't have the design.
So one of my problems with that is they have been marketing this game and having people pay $100 to close test this game, or a version of this game that people might not end up with. And by that I mean the models being removed for something else that I don't think even exists yet. So I kind of take issue with that, to be marketing the game with the 05 models, but then there's still that very real possibility that it could launch and there could be a cease and desist, and then those models are no longer in the game. Although he says his workaround is that you can mod the game. How many people are going to do that? I'm sure a ton will, I'm sure a ton won't. That's not really the point. I think I'm more focusing on the principle here. But, hypothetically, let's just say that it came out, Paramount finally decided to say, okay, all right, now you're making money off of our models. We don't want you to be doing that. Here's a cease and desist. And then what? Because there's no backups. It just took them 2 months to rework just one of the tripods, and it's not even the Uber pod is done yet. And this one, we'll say the Warrior tripod, is not even completely done yet either. There still needs to be animations completely worked out, and it still needs to be implemented into the game to make sure it's working. So I think we can estimate that maybe it'll take 3 months until this one tripod is done, and then the Uber pod still needs to be finished, and then there still needs to be the aliens. I'm assuming the aliens definitely need a lot of work. There's a lot to this game that actually needs a lot of work, and I'm gonna get there in a second. So if we look at those numbers, and this game came out, and the cease and desist happened, we could be looking at like another 5 months, and the game still wouldn't have been playable. It just leaves me with questions, like why did you even announce that this game was gonna be coming out on early access when none of this stuff was ready and there was tons of, and secondly, I'm really curious as to why they even considered switching the game to Unreal Engine last minute after it was already announced. In talking with Raph, it seems like the closed testers hold a lot of weight as far as influencing him and his decisions. They talk about it. It was the closed testers who pointed out the inaccuracies and improvement issues, and performance issues, but also the idea to switch to Unreal. This isn't like bashing the closed testers at all. This is just, I think, us learning how these big decisions could suddenly pop up. But more importantly, there's so much that we have yet to see from this game, and I think I just kind of want to use this video and take this time to prepare you guys to wait, because we're gonna be waiting. You know, they say in this update it's gonna be pushing the game back at least 2 to 3 months. I really wanna see backups before this game comes out, because again, that just secures the fact that it would be an easy transition. I mean, we don't even know what they look like. We don't even know if they're cool. I've seen comments of people say they'll wait forever for this game and they'll play it no matter what. And I've seen people say if it doesn't have the O5 models, they won't be happy. I've seen people on both sides of the fence. Raph doesn't seem too concerned if the O5 models aren't in it. He has said that the concept of the game is what's drawing people, and I agree. I would definitely play this game, and I think a lot of us would definitely play this game if it had original models. It's like, let's just see them. And I have total faith they can come up with something really cool. I mean, looking at Elde's work and his ability to model something so amazing and so awesome looking. And we even got to see things he's modeled before in the live Q&A. Really, if you haven't seen that Q&A, you're gonna wanna check it out. There is so much we talked about, so many cool in-depth things. We even talked about this new model having 222 bones, where the old model had, you know, 60 just in each leg, and that wasn't counting the toes or the torso. But again, that kind of speaks to them not planning ahead. Now, at least they're thinking about performance. But I think people deserve to know what version of the game they could be ending up with. I mean, after all, they are paying $100 to close test. Even if nothing happens to the O5s and they get to keep them, it would be really cool just to see what they came up with anyway, to see their own original designs, and maybe even have that be something that's a DLC. There's so much potential to this game, which kind of brings me to this maybe final point. I don't know, we'll see how long I've been rambling here. I feel like this game is a little unbalanced. There's a lot planned for this game. There has been a lot of effort put into the tripod models when they could easily be something that is just plucked from the game. There's still so much we need to see. We need to see NPC improvements. We need to see performance improvements like across the board. I mean, Raph even talked that he wants to redo the character system, so he's not happy with that. And I don't think Raph is reckless. I think he's earnest. When you hear him talk, he's very passionate. All these guys on this team, great guys, really nice talking with them. They're all genuine, they're all passionate. I don't think there's any malicious stuff going on. I just think there are some lessons taking place right now for this team as far as optics goes, you know, not communicating with people right before a launch, making these huge decisions after announcing launch. I am a fun first focused person when it comes to games. While I don't think anyone's complaining that this game is going to be looking better, if it turns out a walking simulator with tripods, that won't be cool. If it turns out that the game actually has stuff to do and we actually see stuff working that they're talking about. And he's even talked about he wants to do a new map. I think it's unavoidable that this game has been looking like an asset flip with tripods. And the tripods were and kind of are the main focus of a War of the Worlds game, but there still needs to be more as far as like survival that would make this game, you know, worth coming back to, that you wouldn't just be like a one-trick pony, like there's nothing to do, but the tripods are scary. I think it actually speaks to something that Slendy and Deadram were talking about. You know, they wanted this project to be more of a handcrafted kind of thing. They also wanted the novels because it was public domain, and what ultimately was their decision for leaving was they didn't feel comfortable going forward with the copyright models, which is totally respectable and totally their decision. But it also does seem like the game is kind of finally coming around to be more something like they had originally wanted, with not doing so much of an asset flip look to something that's really kind of cohesive and built out. So it's kind of interesting to see the arc of this game and where it's headed. When I first found it, they had 18,000 subscribers and they're nearing 50 now. I think what we're seeing, this at one point was just a fan project. It was okay that like it was an asset flip with tripods. Again, if assets mesh well with what you're doing and they help only support the game, I have no problem with that. And if the game is deep enough, I have no problem with that. The thing is, asset flips are a common theme in games that end up not being like they were marketed as, or end up just kind of being low tier. I think there's a lot we've seen from Raft to say the quality of stuff they're starting to put out now and previously hasn't really been low tier. I mean, the involvement of the probe, there's a lot of big things that were just happening before this reset and this loss of momentum. But with all these things, you know, reworking the tripods, character system, new map. There's supposed to be hostile NPC groups that form. There's even been talk about having followers. There's supposed to be VR support. I mean, this is all stuff you can see on their FAQ and things we've learned from their updates and direct Q&As with them. Multiplayer, we haven't seen any of this stuff actually working in game, actually demonstrated. Online networking things are huge to implement into a game. And Raph says he doesn't want to start implementing that until he nails down the character systems. So as far as like customization, as far as like your stats go, as far as like your inventory, things like that is something he wants to rework before even getting to the multiplayer. And there's supposed to be a players versus aliens. There's supposed to be PvP or just open world, which is basically single player with online. We don't know how big these servers are going to be. There are a lot of things we need to see still from this game. As some people have also stated in the community, this is why I wasn't exactly as excited as some people about the tripods, because it's like, we had tripods, now we have tripods. What's really gonna draw me into this game, and any game that I look at, this goes for, by the way, how much fun is there? How addicting is it? How much can I do before I get bored? And this is why people wanted things like building, crafting, stuff like that. But Raph has said he doesn't want to do building because the tripods are gonna be destroying what they see. Oh, that's another thing. Destructive environments. I mean, there has been some, but not on a level that I think is appropriate for the scale that Raph wants to build this game up to be, or at least that he's marketing this game up to be. I mean, we've seen really funny things, like when a probe, here, I'll just show you. So, like really awkward, really not polished. The tripod bumping into the door and then the door just falling over like a Lego. Like, it's things like this where it's like the game feels a little unbalanced. The door just popping off. That's kind of immersion breaking, right? Or seeing those trees pop in at a super close render distance. We've been seeing trees fall over. We've seen things catch fire, and that's awesome. But we haven't seen buildings really get destroyed. And when we have, they're in older videos and they just kind of pop apart like giant polygons. Furthermore, what I think would be hugely missed would be, we haven't even seen Raph go to like a third floor or fifth floor of a building in this gameplay. We don't even know if these buildings are fully functional, and that could again be because they're asset flipping. So that's a downside, and that's something I'd really like to see change about this game, would be to see aspects of it come up to the level of the tripods. Again, that could just be plucked from the game as soon as it drops. We really don't know. Like, there's this other example here where the light is shining through the ceiling and shining through walls. Like, that shouldn't be happening at all. This is completely bizarre. It's like as if the walls and the ceiling aren't there. So I say all this not to bash the game. I 100% know and understand this is an indie project. No one is arguing that this should be made overnight. I don't think anyone's expecting that. But I think when you hype people up, you're about to release it to them, and then suddenly shift gears this hard that you're considering switching engines even, people are going to be confused, people are going to be upset, and people are genuinely going to be sad that they couldn't finally get their hands on the game. With all that said though, I hope I've painted an accurate picture of where this game is at and why. I'm going to bet that the next time we see a release date for this game, it's not going to be till 2024. I think we're going to be waiting a year. If some kind of date comes sooner, I think we are going to be getting maybe not even half the features that are planned for this game. I think there's so much potential to this game, but there's so much we got to see. and we got to see it working first. Early access will have to come out, and then the performance will have to come up. I see people being excited, like, I can't wait to play online with my friends, you know, scream and get the tripod's attention and like get my friend killed and do all this wacky stuff. And I'm right there with you. Whenever I'm critical about a game, it's because I want to see it succeed and I see the potential in it, and I genuinely want to be proven wrong. It's up to them now to see how quickly they're going to be working, because Raph is ultimately on a time crunch. He is taking this seriously. He did defer his class of being a firefighter till 2025, but that's the time window essentially, and that could be as long as it takes for this game to come out and for it to have like 80% of the features that we're looking at. We'll see. Guys, hang in there. If you have thoughts about where this game's going and what's going on, and let me know. If you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, let's talk about it. If I've hyped anyone up too much, I apologize. I was just so excited when I first found this game, and there were just some problems I've overlooked, and I think I'm looking at it more clearly now, at least hopefully. But that's what I aim to do with this channel. I'm not taking sides. I'm not trying to play favorites or anything. Like, no one owns me. No one's paying me money on the table to say anything. I don't have a gun to my head telling me only to say nice things about this game. And I greatly appreciate my one and only Eclipse patron, Grub Killer 2014. You're the man, and this is your shout out. Thank you for the support. If you guys want to support me, there are links down below to grab a badge on this channel as a member, or to come check out my Patreon for other perks and such. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks guys for hanging out, and I'll catch you next time. Voidboi out.
If they see it and they want to be a part of it, I'll give them 90% of it if they want. I'm not in this for the money. I just want to make my dream game, you know, as close to the movie as possible, because that's what I'm here for. You know?